Hi guys, wait, which 110 here? Thought I'd give you a bit of a fireplace kind of ambiance here. I'm going to continue with the story. A wave of relief came over her. I'd like that. We've been getting along. I really would like to have you as my boyfriend. It was official. Tension that had been sitting there was gone. Now Nicole was nervous to tell Abigail. She knew she had to. Abigail, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I really feel a connection. I'm happy for you. He's a great guy. Did you meet Jan? Yeah, she asked me where I wanted the relationship to go. I felt uncomfortable, so I decided to leave. Sage and I talked at the car. That's when he asked me. Abigail would never admit she felt a twinge of jealousy. She felt horrible. This shouldn't be happening. Well, I have to have you over after our trip to Sydney. I think we have a stop in Toronto before we come home. Should be a week before we get back. I'll talk to Scott, and we'll plan a dinner in the cabin. Their time in Sydney was great. Abigail enjoyed the fresh sea air. Scott took her to his favorite spot to watch the sunset. It's gorgeous, Scott. Her smile was amazing. This is what I've wanted to share with you. It's a special place. Scott wrapped his arms around her from behind. With the shows complete, they had the stop in Toronto before heading home. Abigail had mixed feelings about the stop, but it was part of the trip. I know you're uncomfortable, but it's only one night. Joe was at the venue to meet them. Hey, my two favorite people. He hugged and kissed her, then hugged Scott. You can go for a drink, Abby. It's on the house. Scott squeezed her hand. It's all right, she'll stay here. Time came closer for him to take the stage. Sing with me, he asked sweetly. I'm scared. It's a big room, Scott. You're with me, babe. She looked into his eyes. Okay. She trusted him. From one song to the next, the crowd cheered and clapped. My wife has never performed in such a large venue, but I believe she was great. The audience agreed. The final song of the evening was his latest single that had climbed the charts. He sang to her. For Scott, there was no one else in the room. Abigail truly felt his raw emotion. The tears of love came easily. Her heart was full for the only man in her life that meant anything to her. After the show, they went directly to the airport for a flight home. It was into the next morning when they arrived at the bay. Door locked, shades pulled, phone turned off, they went to bed. Under the covers they cuddled, Scott's warm body by hers, her hand caressing his chest. Scott kissed the top of her head. I love you, Abigail. I love you too. Always and forever, Scott. They both smiled. They were home, and home felt sweeter than ever. Jan rattled Sage's cage. You missing her? She used no name. She was fishing for his response. I seen Nicole yesterday. I'm going there today. You hoping to see Abigail? Stop it, Jan. She's my past. You know that. I'm not going there anymore. Jan doubted his word. She still wasn't convinced Abigail was out of his system. It was late afternoon when the lovebirds woke up. They were going to spend the day alone, relaxing. Nicole had already called about getting together. Abigail didn't bother to respond. Mel arranged to hang out with Nicole and Sage, since Jan would be there too. "How are you doing, Mel?" Nicole asked. "I'm doing good, confused as shit, but other than that." He caught her look. "To be truthful, I'm not sure who I want. A boyfriend or girlfriend, or maybe just me." "Give yourself time. Justin hasn't been gone that long. You need time to get over him," Nicole advised. "You know, as much as I felt natural in some ways, it wasn't. I think I prefer a woman." "Mel, you are so fickle. You know, bud, see who makes you happy. Screw what anyone else says or thinks. Truth be told, we're all a little fickle. That is why we fit together so well. It doesn't matter who you love, as long as you're happy," Nicole told him. "The same goes for you. Why are you with Sage? Are you really that into him?" he had to ask. "I like him. I enjoy his company. Do I see myself with him long term? I don't know. I realize it seems I rushed into this." She knew the glance. "All right, I did rush in. I do want to see if this will go anywhere. Don't hate me for what I'm going to say. Are you keeping him close so Abby can see him? We both know she won't leave Scott this time. But is my thought a possibility?" "I never thought that. I don't think so. Let's leave it at that," Mel laughed. "If it doesn't work, should we give it a whirl?" "What? Keep it in the family?" She had to laugh. This entire conversation was nuts. When Sage and Jan arrived, the conversation had turned to Abigail and Scott. "Are they home?" Mel asked. "I didn't see either car." "They use the garage now. I don't think they took either car. They likely got in early this morning. Abigail loved Sydney, but couldn't wait to leave Toronto. They were leaving right after the show." "We won't see them for a couple of days," Mel replied. "How are they getting along?" Jan was curious. "Very well. We're all glad they're together again. They were meant to be from the beginning. I know Uncle Nick would be over the moon. No offense, Sage." "I'm cool." Sage fell to distance suddenly. Jan and Mel got talking about life in general. "Sage, can we talk?" Nicole motioned him to the spare room. "It's good to see you." "You seen me yesterday." "I'm feeling a lot of separation tonight." "I'm sorry, my fault." Nicole didn't know what to say. "Too much too soon?" "It's fine. Jan got me thinking. I pushed this relationship. I should have given you space," he admitted. "I understand Abigail now. She found it difficult to make the decision, even though she knew who she wanted. There's something about you. I can't explain it. I'm not saying I don't want to see you, because I do. I still want to be your girlfriend. I'm there. Agreed to enjoy what it is for as long as it is." "Agreed." She hugged. Then they kissed. You know what's not polite when you have company," Jan teased. "Nothing was going on. We were just needing to talk. Everything is good," he told their friends. 3 days went by before Scott and Abby emerged from the cabin. Scott had agreed to a couple of nights at Dan's. Abigail sat at the bar watching Scott rehearse. She asked to sit this one out. That pride swelled within her. She loved watching him perform. His movements made her smile. She knew who he was going home with. Scott would flash a smile her way, or a wink. There were those fans that always felt he flirted with them during his gigs. Their faces dropped when they seen him go directly to her. Yes, there were still those few. After tonight's show, there was no difference. Scott made his way to Abigail, a soft kiss to the lips and embrace. She wiped the sweat from his brow. "Hey, cousin." Abigail turned. "Nicole." They hugged. Sage stepped forward. "Great show as always, man." The men shook hands. Jan and Mel said hello. "How are you doing, Mel?" Abigail asked. "I'm doing good, sorting things out in my head." "Love you, bud. Remember, we're here." "I remember. Love you too, sweetie." Their friendship had survived and was stronger for it. "It's great to see you two so happy. Keep it that way. There is no one else for you but Scott." "Never wanted anyone else. Don't make me cry. He's my world." "That will never change." Mel held her hand. "Hey, Mel." Scott came into the conversation. "Hi, Scott." "You stealing my wife?" he joked. "No, that won't happen. She's all yours, my friend. Keep loving on each other. Neither of you were meant to be for someone else." Scott and Abigail didn't stay much longer. They were soon on their way home. The rest followed shortly after. "Sage still wants you." "I know. No worries. You know who I come home to." "Yes, I do." They fell back on the bed. Those passionate kisses, then touches. They made love. Always a burning heat between them. Scott had been at the studio seeing what new talent was there. When he got home, he heard Abigail in her office. She was singing some new favorites of hers from YouTube. He really was surprised at her taste, slightly different than his. He knocked on the door before he went inside. Thirsty began to play. He picked it up. She waited her part. It was just as seductive as the first time they sang it. "You really should record these songs. Your voice is meant to sing them. Make the list, and we'll get to the studio." Abigail put on an argument. She smiled, then handed Scott a list. He had to chuckle. "Thirsty, Hanging Tree, My Mother Told Me, Come Little Children, Lullaby of Woe, My Jolly Sailor Bold, Running Up That Hill." Wow, that's a list. He turned the page over. "This is Halloween, Bring Me to Life, The Way I Feel Tonight." "All right, I agree with all but the last two." "I can deal with that. When do we start?" "You know, for a woman who didn't want to sing, you've really changed your tune." He loved it. "Do you want to start tomorrow?" "Yes." And she began singing lines from Lullaby of Woe. Up early, they put themselves to work in the studio. Scott was still surprised by her serious take on this new journey. First song, "Come Little Children." We'll work from there. It took a few times for them both to be happy with the song. The next was "Thirsty." "I want this one to be perfect." Scott had called Ben in to assist with the recordings. "When you're ready, boss." Scott gave the sign. Abigail found it difficult at first to concentrate. "Relax. Just picture us at home. Close your eyes if it helps. It's just us." Ben began the music again. It took a few more times before she joined into the passion of the song. She thought back to their video. That did the trick. Half of the day was gone on two songs. "Hanging Tree next, please," she asked. "Sure," Ben said. This one turned out to be more difficult. Singing at home, it sounded great. Here in the studio, not so much. Scott helped her with her scale. He was using terms she knew nothing about. Abigail was getting frustrated. Oh, the page won't. Sorry about that. Just tell me in plain English. I don't know all that music stuff. She walked away from her microphone. See, this is why I didn't want to do this. I don't know. I don't know why I did this. It's so stupid. Scott calmed his temper before he spoke to her. Hun, you enjoy singing. That's why you decided to. Just relax. Picture yourself at home. I can't do this. She walked out of the studio and went to his office. He knew where she was. Abigail, this is all new to you. You're putting pressure on yourself when you don't need to. Babe, look at me. I don't want to let you down. You couldn't. You have a fabulous voice. It just needs to learn how to use itself. Hell, I can't count the times my voice hasn't done what I wanted. It takes time. These are songs you love singing. Let it happen. Abigail thanked him. They walked back to the studio, arms around each other. Scott, could we sing your song? He knew it was the latest one. He stood beside her, holding her hands. From the first note to the last, it was beyond perfect. It was 9 o'clock before they finished for the day. Abigail couldn't stop yawning. I'll pick it up tomorrow, Ben. Same time. I need to get my wife home. Any time he could, Scott referred to Abigail as his wife. He loved the way it sounded. They were finally making it work. Come on, husband, she smiled. It was a reminder. It was real. Nicole had left a message. Hi guys, what's up? Wondering if you wanted to hang out tomorrow. Give me a call. Ask Nicole if she wants to drop by, Scott suggested. Abigail gave her a call. Hey, you. Abby, you got my message. Did you want to hang out? I'm at the studio tomorrow. Do you want to drop by? You're singing again? I thought this wasn't going to be a thing. I know. I enjoy doing it. I asked Scott if I could record, she explained. Okay. Well, I'll swing by at some point. You sound tired. I'm past that. I've got to get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow. The cousins hung up. Late afternoon, Nicole showed up, but she wasn't alone. Sage was with her. We've come to see the next rising star, Nicole said, hugging her cousin. Sage was uncomfortable. How was he to greet her? Should he hug her or not? Abigail wasn't sure either how to greet him. They ended up only saying hello. Where should we sit? Nicole asked. Over here on the sofa, Ben directed them. Abigail, Come Little Children is next, when you're ready. Scott spoke to his wife. Don't be nervous. Just imagine you're at home. You love this song. You got it. He went to walk away. Scott, stay here, please. I feel more confident. He pulled up a chair and sat down. Abigail closed her eyes to lose herself in the music. One take, Ben shouted. Amazing. You were amazing. Abigail smiled. Told you could do it. I'm proud of you. Scott kissed her. Sage couldn't help but think back. It wasn't that long ago that he was there with her. He recalled the anger that it had caused. It had all come down to Scott's song. If he hadn't been such an ass, things may have been different. Sage felt that faraway stare on his face. He glanced at Nicole, who was enthralled with the workings of music making. He told himself to smarten up. Abigail went through a couple more songs with limited problems. Scott called it a day at 6. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Do you want to join us for dinner? He invited Ben. Maybe another time. Oh, come on, Ben. What are you doing? Abigail asked. Nothing, he replied before changing his mind. Fine. Where are we going? Back to our place, Scott told them. Burgers and steak. They all went back to the bay. The smell of barbecue meat was filling the air. It made everyone hungry. Good conversation, food, and company. Ben left, stating tomorrow was an early morning. Nicole and Sage went off to the apartment. Jan had skipped the entire day with them. She spent time with Mel. They were becoming fast friends. So did you and Sage ever date? Mel inquired. Long time ago. It wasn't the smartest thing we ever did. It lasted about 2 months. It was too strange, Jan answered. Were you a proper couple? Mel didn't want to say what he thought out loud. You mean that I have sex? Of course, she laughed. That's when we decided our friendship may suffer. It gave us a bond that we stayed away from each other for about a month. Never friends with benefits after that. How did you feel when he married Abigail? I was happy for him, but concerned. Because of Scott? Mel was sure. Yes, she had gone back to him so many times. I didn't want to see him get hurt. He ended up hurting her. They got along as a couple, Mel said. But Scott was always there. I remember Sage and Abigail as friends. She wasn't always in Toronto. I remembered she'd come out here to spend time with her dad. Yes, he was a great man. He treated Sage very well. How come you weren't at the wedding? Being such close friends, I would have thought you'd been there. I wasn't 100% behind his decision to marry her. But you can't tell Sage anything. He knows everything. When he moved here, we didn't talk as much. I can't believe what went on between the three of them. His cousin Neil wasn't 100% behind it either. We loved the guy, so we supported him. So what is your thoughts on Nicole? He was digging for information. She seems really nice, down to earth, no baggage. I'd be happy to see them hook up and stay together. I wasn't sure at first why he was seeing her. I've changed my mind. I think he honestly is into her. Now, you've picked my brain. I've got questions for you. And we will leave it there for this evening. I just have to mark my spots so I remember. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for coming along. Thank you to all of my supporters, subscribers. It's very greatly appreciated. Anybody new to my channel, I do have other videos here covering other subjects. Please take the time to have a look. You see anything that interests you, remember to give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, share it out if you think someone else would be interested. Also greatly appreciate it. While you're here, do consider becoming a subscriber, and if you do, remember to click that notification bell to know the next time that I upload. And until that time, ciao for now.